you have to make a decision and then make it the right decision. You know, a lot of times we like get stuck and we're going back and forth like, I don't know, is this the right thing to do? You know, there's a million different possibilities. But you have to make the decision, right? Just pick something. It doesn't have to be the right decision. It doesn't have to be the best decision. You just make a decision and then make it the right decision. And basically just like be committed to it, you know?
Hi there, this is Sarah Kuhn. If you are an INFJ or in a relationship with an INFJ or related to an INFJ in any way, and you want to figure out how they operate, what makes them tick, and how to communicate with them better, this is the show for you. It's called The Quiet Ones. This is a show that deconstructs INFJs, what they are, how they think, how they feel, how they operate, and how they relate to people with other personality types. Whether you have just found out that you're an INFJ or have known for a number of years, there is something for everyone. You will learn more about your personality type so that you understand who you are and understand how you operate in the workplace, in relationships, in your family, and with friends. I want you to walk away from every episode feeling like you have a place of belonging, feeling like you are no longer alone, feeling like you have a place to be heard and seen and understood as you really are. This is a place to connect with other INFJs, to learn and grow and really thrive. I want to give you inspiration and real life strategies that are going to help you figure out how to live your best life every single day. Though INFJs are very rare, you are not alone in this world. You are not the only one who thinks the way that you do and feels the way that you do. Hear from real INFJs just like you. Hi there, I'm Sarah Kuhn. Welcome to another episode of The Quiet Ones. So I have something really cool to tell you. I'm here to help you. I want to inspire you to be the best version of yourself, the best version that you can actually even imagine. We know that we're INFJs, right? But that's just the first step in this long healing journey, a step into the better version of yourself. There's so much more that we can talk about and learn about and explore. That's why I've put together a week-long free workshop that's called Here for This. These are the steps that you need to take to understand your patterns, heal from your past, and create your best self yet. I'll be doing live videos every single day from Monday through Friday, September 27th to October 1st at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, which is also 9 a.m. Pacific Time. You can go to infjwoman.com/hereforthis to get access to this week-long free workshop right now. There's so much that you don't learn in school and that you don't even learn in college that's crucial to living your best life. There's a reason that you feel stuck and disconnected right now. There's a reason that you don't know what to do next and you don't know what helps. I've been there and I know what that feels like, and I want to help you out of it. We can get to the bottom of this together. Go to infjwoman.com/hereforthis to sign up right now. On today's episode, I'm talking to Veronica Rose, a fellow INFJ, about INFJ careers. It's so nice to chat with INFJs, just to hear that we are so similar and to know that we're not alone in this world. Let's take a listen. Did it work? There we go.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so sorry that I'm late. For some reason, there's like a million people out today. I don't know. It's really nice here in Boston, though, so maybe that's part of it.
Probably. It's busy here, too. I'm in Northern Virginia, and I was driving down to visit a friend with family, and traffic was horrible.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Well, I'm excited to talk to you. The message that you sent me, it seemed like we have a lot in common. I actually studied criminal justice when I was in college. That's what my bachelor's degree is in, and I wanted to be a criminal profiler.
Oh wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, I got all the way to like the last semester in college, and I took this criminal profiling class, and I was like, you know what? I don't think this is for me.
You're like, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
It's funny because I started in IT, so like kind of because I was told, not told, but heavily influenced, I guess, by my parents. Like, you will do this, you can make good money, blah, blah, blah. And so I like climbed up, the corporate ladder and whatnot. And then I got to a point kind of even throughout the entire career where I'm like, oh man, I hate this. Like I hate this so much. And I had always been interested in like psychology, and especially like, murder shows and whatnot. I just was
Yes.
so fascinated. I know it sounds weird, but I'm like, I want to get inside the mind of like that, like different types of, I hate to say like bad people, but like I want to understand like what makes them tick, I guess.
Yeah,
It's
no,
so weird.
I'm obsessed with the same thing. Like I love
Yeah.
watching like things like CSI and then true crime, like Homicide
Yes.
Hunter is one of my favorite shows. And
Yes.
I
It's
love
so funny. I
all
was
of
watching.
the true crime documentaries on Netflix.
Same. Like I'll watch. I know some of them can be kind of cheesy, but what is it? It's on ID, I think, network. They have these silly shows, but I still am hooked to them. One of them is like Signs of a Psychopath, or like Who Did I Marry? And it's all about like
Right.
bad, or people turn bad or whatnot. And I could just watch it for hours. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, why don't I do something with it? I just thought, why don't I actually like go into something that I do like and I'm interested in? And I had always been interested in the psychology aspect of things, and then like the crime side of things. So I thought, well, why don't I try like forensic psychology or whatnot? So I did something crazy. Like I literally quit my corporate job like a few weeks ago with no backup plan. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And I wanted to go to school. But I'm still even waiting to see if I got in, because for a PhD program, I think you need to have at least like a bachelor's or master's in that same field. And I don't. Mine are all like business and IT. So I'm hoping to get into this program at University of Essex. They have that focuses on Carl Jung, because that's like who I'm really interested in, and like that kind of methodology.
Right.
So I'm hoping, if I get into that, I'm hoping it'll start in October, so I can do that and then like venture into different PhD programs and see if like, even forensic psychology is something I'm still interested in. You never know. I'm trying to keep my options open, unlike I did with my original career, where,
Right.
where I'm like, okay, maybe if I want to pivot, I can, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm trying, but it's so hard because I'm very much like, I have to do this, and and then I have to focus this path, and there's no way to change, and I'm trying to almost undo things that are really inherent to who I am and my personality, if that makes sense.
Yeah. It's such a strange concept, because I think that we get this idea from our parents that there's like one career, like you have to pick the right thing.
Yeah.
And maybe that was the way that it was in their generation, but now millennials will have 9 different careers in their lifetimes. Not jobs, like whole different careers.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And it's so much easier now to do something different. And even if you wanted to like start your own business, it's not like you need a ton of money and a storefront and all these things like you used to. You can start a business just through social media.
True.
So most people don't think about it that way. They think, you have to be a lawyer or a doctor or sell insurance or something. But that's not the case.
No. Well, because I was trying. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just going to say, I think it's so incredibly brave what you're doing. And
thank you.
Quitting your job and just following what you want to do. That's awesome. So many people come to me and they're like, I hate my job, but I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And I know not everybody has the opportunity to just like say, okay, I'm done, and then do something else. But there's definitely an option there to start something new while you still have a job, to keep moving in that direction.
True. So it's funny, like this is the first time I've ever just like cold turkey quit without kind of a backup plan. And I mean, I kind of had one. So I was like dating someone at the time who kind of encouraged me, kind of was that extra push, that kind of something changed in my head where I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to go after this and follow what I really want to do. But I was going to do, it's funny, like I was actually going to do like a side kind of hustle with him, like side business, but that we had a falling out. He was like really toxic. And so I was like, okay, now plan B. So now I'm like, I still need a job, but just maybe not, just to like pay my mortgage.
Right.
But I told myself, I was like, I'm not going to go like back to the same level position I was in, you know, when I quit, because it was too much. It was too much. And I was working all the time. It was like I was working 3 jobs in one. You know, I just kept getting stuff pushed on me. So it's like I'm trying to show myself kindness and be like, okay, Veronica, you can go back to, you know, the type of field that you were doing, but understand that you need to take a job where it allows you to go to school or pursue the things that you really want to do on the side. But it's so hard. It's so hard for me because I just go 1,000 miles an hour once I set my mind on something. So I'm trying. I'm like a work in progress.
Yeah, I know how that goes too. I decided to move to Boston, and like 6 weeks later I moved to Boston, and everybody in my life is going, what are you doing? Like, that's one of the most expensive places in the United States. You have a nice situation here in the Midwest. And I'm like, no, I made a decision, and it's gonna work.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you know who Kathy Heller is?
I don't.
She has this podcast called Don't Keep Your Day Job. You should definitely listen to it.
Okay, I'm gonna check that
out. She has
out.
like 20 million downloads. I mean, it's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But she was saying something the other day. She said, you have to make a decision and then make it the right decision. You know, a lot of times we like get stuck and we're going back and forth like, I don't know, is this the right thing to do? You know, there's a million different possibilities. But you have to make the decision, right? Just pick something. It doesn't have to be the right decision. It doesn't have to be the best decision. You just make a decision and then make it the right decision. And basically just like be committed to it, you know?
Yeah, agree. That's what I did for my first career. And then I was like, oh, I hate, like 10 years later, I'm like, I hate this. So now I'm choosing again, like because I can be prone to be very negative. I like to call myself a realist, but people call me a pessimist. So I'm like, I'm a realist with a side of pessimism. But so it's like I don't want to be too negative about, you know, like, oh, I wasted the last 10 years of my life. But it's taught me what I don't want to do, you know, so there's that. And I'm choosing to see this as I'm closing a chapter and opening a new one, because I don't know, I'm sure a lot of other INFJs are the same, but we get bored easily. I mean, I can't stay on one thing for too long. I'm just like, I gotta go to the next thing. And the only thing I stayed consistent with was my career. And it was almost like I tell people I was kind of like square peg, round holing it, if that makes sense. I'm like, I fit in this, damn it. Like, I am going to make this work. And I made it work. And then I said, oh gosh, I'm not interested at all.
Yeah,
you know?
I work in marketing.
Not.
That's definitely a square peg in a round hole for an
Really? Oh, true. But do you get to leverage like some creative sides, which is good.
Yeah, it's a learning experience. And then through, you know, my blog and my podcast, my Instagram, I've learned this whole other thing of, you know, being live on video and talking about stuff that I don't want to talk about, and I wouldn't talk about with my friends. I mean, I do want to talk about it because I want other people to know that, hey, this is stuff that we go through and it's okay. Yeah. But like, I wouldn't talk about it with my friends, and it's kind of weird. And I was just editing videos earlier, and some of the stuff that I was talking about in the videos, because some of them are kind of old, and I'm like, ooh, should I put this out there again? Like, I feel kind of weird putting it out there.
You're like, this is cringy. Like
people are gonna think I'm weird or strange or something. But if it helps somebody, then it's like, well, okay, then it's worth it.
Doesn't matter. No, I'm the same way. Like I was trying to start just like a side account, like for Carl Jung stuff. Well, first I started it because I wanted to talk about, since I grew up in like a toxic environment and whatnot, I wanted to talk about that kind of stuff and use it as kind of like a platform when I was in school to kind of help, you know, start like helping people. And then I got really into Carl Jung, and I was like, okay, like I even changed the name of it and more like the focus. And it's still like in infancy, you know, I'm just kind of playing around with it. But I'm just like every time I want to make a post, I just think, no one's gonna care. Like, no one's gonna like and my friend's like, you just need to post it. I'm like, but do I? Like, should I just delete it? You know? Yeah. I just, it's so complicated.
No, that was me when I started my blog. Literally, I started 6 or 8 different blogs before I started the one called INFJ Woman.
Yeah.
And I would do the same thing. I would like pour my heart out into this blog post. You know, like this is the greatest story of my deepest thoughts and feelings, right? And then I would post it on a blog that didn't even have its own domain name. You know, it was like a free thing from WordPress. And I would sit there and like watch it. And I'm like, nobody's reading it. Why is nobody reading it? And then like 2 or 3 hours later, I would be like, I'm a total fraud. Like, I shouldn't have put that out there.
Yes.
This is so terrible. Nobody is interested.
That's like
And
me.
then so I would delete it.
Oh my gosh, you literally sound like me.
And then I would do the same thing. Like every December, January, I was like, I really want to be a writer. I'm going to start writing a blog. And it was the same thing, like over and over again for like 6 years. And then
oh my gosh.
finally I was like, you know what? I don't care. I don't care if anybody reads it. I'm just going to put it out there anyway.
Yeah.
Like maybe one person will read it and maybe it'll help that one person, and that's all that matters.
That's what matters. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what matters. That's what I keep trying to tell myself.
Yeah. The first month, nobody read my blog. The second month, and I wrote like a post a week. I made that decision that that's what I was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So the first month, like nobody read it. The second month, like 5 people read it. The third month, I think like 40 people read it. And then the fourth month, like 500 people read it. And then it was like 5,000 people.
That's
and
amazing.
Like, okay, so I just need to like put more content out there and
Yep.
keep going and you know,
Yep.
give people time to find it. Oh, like duh,
Like,
right?
that makes sense. No, it's so funny because I wanted to like because I like to write too, and I was like, oh, what can I write about? Like I wanted to basically write about this journey of like becoming, you know, doctor whatever, you know, when I get my like degree, and I wanted to write about different things like about Carl Jung or like psychology or like different Myers-Briggs personalities, and then literally I haven't done it because I'm like, nobody's gonna read it. Well, who's gonna find me? It was like, does anybody care? And I just need to like do it. I just need to start, just start writing. I'm so, it's so hard for me to just do something without thinking about all the little details and, editing in my head. I mean, I'm the same way on like dating apps. Like I like recently like got on a dating app. No, I actually tried getting on a few dating apps before. I kid you not. I get on the app within an hour. I'm like, I'm deleting this.
Oh yeah, I do the same thing. I start
this.
swiping through all the guys, and I'm like, oh, there are no good guys left.
Yeah,
like I would not go out with any of these guys. And after like 2 days, I've deleted it because I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm never gonna find anyone.
No, and my friend is like, how long have you been on it? I'm like, an hour. She's like, what? Why are you deleting it? I'm like, because it's clear to me the universe is saying. I'm just like, okay, like calm down. Like I can tell myself stop being extra.
Right. Well, I like the whole concept of when I was in school, I was always a straight A student, right? I wanted everything to be perfect, did everything really well.
Yes.
Right. So I've adopted this new concept of being a C student. So don't worry about it being perfect. Just get it done. And it's like, it feels like torture because it's like, no, I want it to be perfect. Before I put a blog post up on my website, I want my website to look immaculate. Because I build websites for a living, right? So I'm like, I want it to be gorgeous. I want there to be 1,200 posts on there, and
absolutely.
But then like you get really overwhelmed, and you're like, this is never gonna happen, and I'm never gonna do it. It's never gonna be perfect. So then I'm just not gonna do it. Right?
That was like me. That's
the only way that I found to like get past that is to be like, nope, just do it. One of my biggest hangups is spelling. I'm terrible at spelling, and so I was worried about writing because I was like, people are going to see that I misspell words, and even if I read it 12 times, there's still going to be misspelled words because I read them and I don't see that they're misspelled, right?
Right.
So eventually I was like, well, if I'm going to write, there's going to be misspelled words, and people are just going to have to accept that. And some of the first comments that I got on my blog posts were like, hey, you misspelled definitely. And at first I was like, like I'm a terrible person. This really, like, this is horrible. How can I be so smart and so stupid at the same time, right? But after a while I was like, hey, built-in spell check. Like, I have editors and I don't even have to pay them.
Exactly. It's so funny.
And now I just tell people, like, look, there's probably misspelled words here. You know what I mean. I mean, if you text, if you are on Twitter or Instagram, you can read it. You know, spell check messes you up all the time. Like, if it's really bad, I'll fix it. If it's not, then just deal with it.
Yeah, it's funny because I had posted something one time and it was like a quote that I had written, and I put it like on some nice background with Canva or whatever, and I posted it, and I was like, oh, happy about it. And I posted it, I looked at it, I was like, I misspelled a word. I was like, I got to delete it. And people had already started liking it. It wasn't a lot, but still people started, and I was like, I gotta do it. I gotta delete it, and I deleted it.
I do that
and
too.
Then I reposted it.
There are some people who will be like, because a lot of this stuff that, I mean, I post 5 or 6 times a day on this account, right?
Wow.
So I don't always read the stuff meticulously. And sometimes I post stuff that says INTJ instead of INFJ, and people like roast me in the comments. And I'm like, you know, at first I was like, wow, how could it be so stupid?
Like, really?
Like, how did you not see that? But now I'm like, hey, there's 500 comments on this post. That's really cool.
There you go. It doesn't really matter what they're commenting on.
Right? Like, as long as you're not like spewing hate at people, that's totally fine. Like, oops, I'm sorry. I'm a human. I make mistakes.
Yeah.
Right? It's,
oh my God.
It's not like the end of the world, even though, you know, it does feel like that. And it
feels like it. It does.
It takes the constant reminding yourself of, we're just getting this done. We're just, you know, we're going to be a C student. We're just going to do it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just put it out there and it's fine, because the first thing that you do is going to be terrible. Right? You just have to accept that. The first blog post that you write is awful. I don't go back and read the first few that I wrote.
Right, I don't blame you.
The first video that you do is going to be terrible. Yeah. The first video that I did that I put on YouTube, it took me like 6 hours to record it. It was like a 10-minute video.
That would literally be me.
So I post it, and there's all these people. It got like 500 views. And there was several comments. So I'm looking at the comments, and they're like, hey, you know that you mispronounced this word, right? And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I mispronounced.
You're like, I did.
Oh my gosh.
You're like, I did enough takes and I edited it enough. I thought I like got that right. And then does it stick with you and you think about it forever? Because that happens to me.
Yep. Apparently, I don't know how to say facade. That's not how I said it in the video, right? So I'm like, well, I guess I'll never forget how to pronounce facade again.
Right, you're like, now it's embedded in my head.
Right. Yeah. So of course, you know, I took the video down and re-edited it, and but it was like, okay, well, we've done that. The first video is terrible. Now the next one will be better. Now I just won't say facade anymore.
You're like, I'm just not even gonna try.
Yeah, just stay away from that word.
We don't need that. We don't need it. We don't need it.
Oh my gosh. But you know what's funny? When I started doing my podcast, I had to write every single word out of my podcast.
Oh, I would do the same. I would have to do exactly the same, because I was like interested in that too with the person that I was dating, because we were gonna do like a Myers-Briggs type podcast, because he's an ENTP, and like Myers-Briggs is like, oh, y'all are perfect for each other. I beg to differ, but maybe a different person. But like it's like I want, like, we were gonna basically talk about, you know, that type of dynamic in a relationship, and it never ended up happening. But I obsessed over. I'm like, okay, like this episode we're gonna talk about this, like this episode we're gonna talk about this, and like this is how we're gonna do it. And I just keep thinking, why? Like, that's probably why. I mean, for other reasons too, but it's like that's probably why I never got started even with it, because I was just so obsessed with the details again. And I kept trying to tell myself, I'm like, reflect back to, there's this podcast I really like, My Favorite Murder. Like, I love it. It's just these two ladies, they talk about different like murders or, you know, like cases and whatnot.
Right.
And their first, I always think back to the first episode where they're just like, hey, I'm so-and-so and I'm so-and-so and we just want to talk about murder, you know, and it's just so casual and it turned out to be the best thing ever. And it's like, I want so badly to be able to just wing it, so to speak, right? But I'm so concerned, like, I talk about this, like all my I's have to be dotted and all my T's have to be crossed instead of just it can just be just a bunch of letters. Like, it's not a big deal.
Well, I am over 70 episodes into my podcast, and I've just now gotten to the point where I feel somewhat comfortable and I can't just like pick a subject. I have to have like bullet point notes to know where I'm going.
True.
But for the most part, it's like, okay, I can talk about this.
Yeah.
It helps too if you do interviews where like other people are interviewing you, because they tend to ask the same questions over and over again. So then you can like practice your answers, so you know, the more you know about what you're talking about, the better. And another thing that I found, this is like this recent revelation to me, which is also going to sound really stupid. Most people, I just assumed that people know the basics. Right? Because they're like simple, basic. Like everybody knows what an introvert is, right?
Of course.
No. No. The posts that get the most likes on my account are the posts with like the basics of, hey, this is what an introvert is. This is what being judging means. This is what having a feeling personality means.
Oh, wow.
And so I was just thinking about it and talking to somebody about it last night, and I was like, so you mean you think that I should like talk about like the basics? They're like, well, duh, if people don't know that, then you need to like tell them what the basics mean. And I'm like
I do?
Wow, okay,
but I thought they already knew that.
Because we were talking about, like your ideal customer and who they are and like the people that you want to serve the most. And I was like, well, I want to talk to like the person that I was when I first learned about personality types. And they were like, so did you know what an introvert was? And I'm like, well, kind of, but not really. Well, maybe then you should tell people what an introvert is. And I'm like, oh, wow, that makes so much sense.
You're like, oh.
Yeah. Sometimes you just need that outside perspective.
You do.
Because it's like you're searching around for something and you don't even know what it is. And you're overthinking everything. And then you talk to somebody else about it and they're like, it's right in front of you. Like, how do you not see this? And then, again, you feel stupid because you're like, oh,
always.
Duh. Like,
always. I always feel stupid with like everything. This is like number one. I'm like, should I do this? Oh, I feel dumb. Don't do it. We just gotta push through.
Yeah. That's really, you kind of just get used to it because it's like, well, I'm either going to stay in the same position that I've always been in and do the same things that I've always done for the rest of my life.
True.
Or I'm going to have to feel stupid for a while and learn how to do something new. Yeah. And maybe learning how to do something new will be like the best thing that you've ever done in your life.
True.
But you just have to get past the feeling stupid part for just a little while.
It was crazy because like at my last job, like when before I quit, we had reorganized. So I had like a new boss and whatnot. And basically we had two different lines of business. So like the one I was in, I was managing areas like in technology that I was familiar with. And then we collapsed. And so like my equivalent in the other line of business became my boss. And he was more involved in like satellite technology and whatnot. I was like, oh God, I don't know anything about this. And I just kept saying, like when I call, whenever I talked to him, I was like, I feel really stupid. Like you guys are on calls talking about this stuff and I have no idea what's going on. And I just thought everyone thought I was like the dumbest person in the room. They're like, oh, why is this person in this position? Like, what does she know? She doesn't know anything. And when I would tell my boss this, he's like, it's okay. Like this is not, this is not like the environment or the type of technology like you had been around for your career to date. So it's okay. He's like, just get with one of our engineers, whatnot. They'll explain it to you, to the level that I would need it. I obsessed for months. I was like, I'm so stupid. I need to know. Like, how do I not know that? Like, I need to know this already. And then I remember talking to someone and they were like, but how are you supposed to know if you never have been exposed to it? Like, how can you be an expert in something you literally know nothing about? And my head exploded, basically, when they told me that.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's a good point. But then I was like, no, you don't understand. Like, I need to be an expert on it already. Like, no one can know that I don't know. No one can know.
It's like the embarrassment, you know, you don't want to admit that you don't know, and you want to be perfect at it, right?
Yes.
So it's like, okay, I'm not gonna record videos until I'm really, really good at it.
Yes.
But you're not gonna get really, really good at recording videos until you actually record videos.
True.
And it was true for me about 5 or 6 years ago. I started running because I wanted to lose some weight, and I was like, okay, running sounds good. Most people I know who run, they're like super skinny, right? So that's probably a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So I started running, and it was incredibly difficult. And I was like, nobody says that it's difficult, so maybe it's just difficult for me, and I just need to learn like how to run, right? So I hired this coach, this running coach, who was like $300 a month, and back then that was a lot for me.
Yeah.
And so I kept asking him like different questions, and I'm like thinking to myself, he's not understanding what I'm asking. So like, how do do you make this easy without, you know, admitting that I don't know?
Right.
Like, you know, and so finally, after several months, he's like, what is it that you're looking for? Like, I don't understand what you're looking for. And I'm like, well, running is really difficult for me, and it doesn't seem like it's difficult for anybody else. So I want to know what the secret is. Like, you know, I'm paying all this money. You have to tell me, like, how does it get easy? And he's like, well, let me tell you what the secret is, Sarah. Running is really difficult. He's like, that's what the secret is. It's difficult for everybody. It's just that some people do it and some people don't do it.
True.
And the more that you do it, the easier that it gets, not because it's actually easy, but because you build up muscles that make it a little bit easy, but it's always difficult. And I'm like
what?
Oh.
You mean I'm not going to be an expert at it right away?
Oh,
why not?
I wanted to know how to run like before I started running, because I felt like a dying dog, you know, with like my tongue sticking out, like I can't breathe, and I'm supposed to be going to this running group, and there's all these people, and it's so embarrassing, you know. And he's like, you know, the people that you're in the group with, they run like triathlons, like Ironman triathlons.
It's like, how can you expect yourself to be on that level if you just started?
Yeah.
And see, I can tell people that, but like, I can't take that advice.
Right. Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
all.
It's super easy to say, hey, nobody is an expert, you know, in the beginning. But then when you're like, oh, but I have to face the embarrassment. Like, I don't know if I can do that. That's a lot.
I can't do it. It's like, let's just back away. Just no. It's a no. And that's how I quit so many things. I start so many things and I quit so many things. Like I was interested in like joining a class or whatnot, and something different, like for exercise. So I joined like a row house, I think it was called. It was like rowing class. I barely joined for like 2 weeks. I spent all this money to sign up. You know, I did like a couple sessions. I was like, oh man, like my arms are killing me. Well, obviously, because I don't row, I'm not gonna pace it. And I quit. I was like, man, this isn't for me. No, I'm not good at it. Just like automatically, instead of just sticking with it and being like, well, you'll get better. I'm sure the more, you know, practice makes perfect, so to speak.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas like I had done yoga for a while, but had always been pretty flexible, so it came easier to me. So I stuck with it because it came easier to me. And now I'm like, oh, I wish I would have stuck with things that didn't come easy to me, so I could go through that process of actually maybe enjoying, you know, the journey, if you will, of learning said thing. But I'm just
challenge.
Yeah, like I'm just so big at getting to the end. Like the end goal. That's all I want. Like, I'm like, you know, people are like, oh, it's the journey, not like the destination. I'm like, no, it's the destination. I need to be like a master at this already. And I don't want to have to go through the trials and tribulations of becoming that. I just want to be it now. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, well, that's what everybody says, you know, it's about the journey. So maybe that's something that you learn as you get older. I mean, I don't
Maybe.
know. For me, I do like the challenge of doing something new and like the crush of it. And
Yeah.
once it's old and I know what I'm doing, then it's like, this isn't fun anymore.
That's true. That's a good point. I'm kind of the same way. I should rephrase because I like the initial, like when I start something new, but then when I get into it, I'm like, I'm done. On to the
I
next
tend to
thing.
pick all of these things too that are like
Yeah.
impossible. You know,
Yes.
like, oh,
Same.
nobody ever does that. You can't do that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, really? I can't
Like,
do that? Well, watch me do it.
it's like, I'm going to show you. And then I do it. And I'm like, okay, now I'm bored.
Yeah.
Something different.
It's like,
Something different.
see, I did it. Okay, now I'm done. Like, what's the next thing? What
Right,
else do you think I
next thing.
can't do?
Yeah. It's like, what's the next thing? On to the next thing.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not good at
Yes.
living in the moment. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Like at
No,
all.
I like 5 to 10 years down the road.
Yes.
I like to
Or
think
even
about that.
or even like, what am I going to do the next day? What am I going to do this weekend? It's like I'm always looking forward to that next thing. And
Yeah.
I've been like called out for it, you know, as like it's a bad thing. But I'm like, well, you know what? If that works for me and that makes me happy, let me look forward to the next thing.
I don't think that it is necessarily a bad thing. Because I read somewhere, some study that was done that says that you get as much happiness, as much enjoyment from looking forward to something as you do actually going to the thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to a concert next week.
Ooh.
It's actually in Maryland, actually. It's in Baltimore.
Oh, that's not too far
and-
from me. Okay, like 2 hours, but whatever.
Not too bad. But I've been looking forward to going it since I bought the tickets like 2 months ago.
Oh,
But
wow.
now that it's like next week, I'm like starting to get super nervous and anxious, and I'm like, okay, how do I deal with this? And I know that the day of the concert is gonna be, you know, I don't know how big the venue is. I think there'll probably be like 3,000 people there, not like normal concerts that are like 15,000 people, you know. So
Right.
there's gonna be a lot of people, and I'm kind of nervous about going to Baltimore because I've never been there, and I've heard that they have some crime problems going on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you know, how do I plan to be safe? And then I'm taking the train down there and then taking the train back really early in the morning. So I'm like, okay, this is gonna be. And I always get nervous with the train because, you know, it's like you have 10 minutes to get on the train.
Oh, yeah.
And if you miss it, like, you're toast.
Forget it. Oh, yeah. I obsess over that stuff. I'm like, okay, like this time is when it's going to be, you know, it's going to come. So I got to be there like 10 minutes before. And then I got to make sure, like, if I'm, you know, think I'm going to be hungry, then I got to like get food first. It's like this whole little game that I play in my head.
Like, I'm going to be on the train for 7 hours by myself alone. Like, should I take my computer? Should I not take? What am I going to do if I don't take my computer? Like, I don't want to have too much stuff because I don't want to be that person who's like, I can't get on the train because I have too much stuff, you know?
Exactly.
And I'm even thinking about like, okay, when I'm at the concert, am I going to like take videos or am I going to enjoy the show? Because I can't decide.
I don't know.
And it's like, okay, well, from past experience, I always come home with like no videos, and I'm like, I wish I would have taken some more videos. So maybe I'll do that. I don't know. It's just like, I know that for me, the best part of concerts or events like that is the anticipation looking up to it. And then remembering it afterward. Actually going to the event is stressful.
Yes,
and
so
makes
stressful.
me really anxious.
So stressful. It really is.
It's like, okay, so how about we just take lots of videos and focus on like pictures and stuff and try not to focus on all the stress and anxiety.
It's like, let's try not to live in the moment, but take a lot of pictures and videos so we can relive it later.
Right. Yes, absolutely. The actual event was probably going to be torture.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Remembering it, you don't remember all the anxiety and the torture. Most of the time, you just remember that you had a great time.
Yeah, you remember the highlight reel.
Right.
Oh, gosh. That's too funny. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
No, you're definitely not the only one. Well, I think I better get back to work, but it's been really, really fun talking to you. I'm so glad. I was so glad to connect with some other INFJs and hear your stories. Some of the stories that you tell could have been me telling the stories.
Right?
I mean, it's like...
it's nice to know there are more of us out there. We're not alone.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
That's awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me know if you get into the program and how it's going.
I
would love, like, if you start a blog or a video series or something, send it to me. I would love to keep up with it.
That'd be amazing. I would love to do that. This is like the motivation I need to actually do it.
Absolutely. Just do it scared, do it messy, just get it done. It'll get better.
Okay. I'm going to do that. Sarah told me, so I'm going to do that.
Right. All right. Well, have a good weekend.
You too. Take care. And everyone else that's joining us.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
I want to help you feel the best that you have ever felt. I want to help you be wholly and unapologetically you. I want to help you talk more about energy, help you change the energy that you have. I want to help you with this healing journey that you're on. You started looking for your personality for a reason. There's something in your life that you want to change. Maybe it's just that you feel like you're not you. You feel like you're living somebody else's life and you don't know how to really be you. I've been there. I know what that feels like. And I also know what it feels like to step out of that and really step into your own, to be the person that you've been dreaming about being for a long time. So I've created this free week-long workshop. It's called Here for This. These are the steps that you need to take to understand all of your patterns, to heal from all of the things that have happened to you in the past, and to create your best self. I'll be doing live videos every single day, Monday through Friday from September 27th to October 1st at noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific Time. Go to infjwoman.com/hereforthis to get access to this free week-long workshop right now. There's a link for it in the show notes. I really hope to see you there. It's going to be an amazing time. There's going to be other people there, other INFJs there just like you, who are on this healing journey as well and who are ready to make friends. They want to share their experience with other people, to connect with people who are doing the same thing, who feel the same way as they do. So I hope that you will come and join us. Again, go to infjwoman.com/hereforthis. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate you so very much. I will see you again next week. So you just watched that video and I'm sure you enjoyed it. If you want some more amazing information about INFJs, check out these videos right now. I'll see you there.